Okay, so good morning, students. Today we're going to be talking about measurement estimations. So if you can think back to yesterday, what did we learn about yesterday? Can anybody tell me? Okay, Johnny? Correct, yes. Yesterday we learned about units, which is inches, feet, yards, centimeters, meters, and we talked about how you would measure those. So using a ruler, using a yardstick, using a meter stick. But today we are going to be just using a ruler. So you should have that handy with you for today's lesson. But can anybody guess how yesterday's lesson will relate to today's lesson? If you think back to the first slide, we're talking about measurement estimations today. Okay, Rachel? Yes, today we're going to be talking about how we are going to estimate measurements of objects.
All right, so we're going to talk about what is an estimate first. Can anyone tell me? Well, I guess I have it written here, so we're just going to talk about it. It's going to say, so an estimate is to make a careful guess about what an amount or size is. So for the first step to making an estimate about a measurement, you're going to figure out the appropriate unit that you need to use for measuring the object. So if I were to measure this pen, thinking back to the measurements that Ms. Taylor was talking about, we're going to use either centimeters, inches, yards, or meters. So thinking about this pen, do you guys think we're going to use centimeters, inches, feet, yards, or meters? Can someone tell me? Matt, what do you think? Inches? Yeah, that would be right, because centimeters would be a little too small. Feet would be way too big, yards would be way too big too. So we're going to find out the appropriate unit. So next we're going to do some exercises practicing what is the appropriate unit. So Johnny caught a fish. Looking at this picture, do you think the fish is 12 inches long or 12 feet long? So everyone think about this. If you're looking at this fish in the picture, do you think it's going to be 12 inches long or 12 feet long? I'm going to have you guys write in the chat what you think the appropriate unit is for this fish. So everyone write in the chat either inches or feet. All right, I'm seeing a lot of inches. Inches is correct because feet would be way too big for this fish. So inches is correct. The next one, we're going to talk about this tree. So this tree is really, really big. Do you guys think that this tree is going to be 32 inches or 32 yards tall? So think about this really, really big tree. Do you think it's only going to be 32 inches or 32 yards? Everyone write in the chat what you think. Is it going to be inches or yards? All right, I'm seeing a lot of inches. More yards. So good. I think it's going to be yards. Inches is a little too small, so inches would be like a small bush. So the tree is going to be yards. Think of a really, really big tree. All right, so yards is going to be the correct answer for this one. Let's try the next one. All right, so we're going to talk about this little tiny fly. Do you guys think this fly is going to be 4 centimeters or 4 feet long? So think of a fly so tiny. You think it's going to be 4 centimeters or 4 feet? Write it in the chat. Tell me what you guys think. All right. I'm seeing centimeters, and that's right. All right, perfect. Centimeters is going to be right because feet's going to be way too big, and that's a scary fly. All right, next. Our steps to figure out an estimate.
Okay, so the steps that you would take to figure out an estimate are as follows. So first you would think about what unit is appropriate to use. So like you just saw Mrs. O'Donnell doing, she was thinking in her head, okay, so looking at this pen, would I use inches or would I use feet to measure this? And then you would say, I would think more so inches because a foot would just be a little bit too big, I think. And then you would think about how many units make up that object. So I'm going to guess maybe 6 inches to make up the pen length. And then you would ask yourself, does that answer make sense? So just thinking about it, 2 feet. I'm going to say that that's way too big for a pencil. That's a really big pencil. But 1 inch, that's really small for a pencil. That's only about this big. So you have to ask yourself, does your answer make sense? And then the fourth step that you would take would be to actually measure that object. So you're going to measure it and find out the total length of it. And then you would ask yourself, does that match my estimate that I originally thought of? And
It's
now
about 5 inches.
Oh, so see, we were about an inch off. We said 6 inches, but it's about 5. So now we are going to move on to demonstrating steps to estimating. So I'm going to show you guys some objects and you're going to help me figure them out. So looking at this card, do you think that I would use inches or feet to measure this? I want a volunteer to tell me. Okay, but Josh, what do you think? You're gonna say inches? Okay, I think I would agree with this. Can everybody else agree with inches? Yes, okay. Yeah, I think, and so how many inches do you think this card is? You're gonna guess about 5 inches? Okay, do you guys think that that makes sense, that estimate? I think it makes sense because he didn't say 1 inch, which is way too small, and he didn't say 10 inches, which is a little bit bigger than this, I think. So then we would actually measure this object. So let me pull out my ruler. And like we went over yesterday, you would go to the very end of the object, end to end. So this is actually about 6 inches long. So Josh, you were actually just about right. Okay, so now we're gonna try a crayon. Now, can somebody else tell me the units that they think we would use to measure this crayon? Would you say maybe inches or feet? You're gonna say inches? Okay, I agree. So we wouldn't use centimeters. I think that might be a little, well, we can use centimeters for this, but inches I think would be more useful. And then you wouldn't use feet because that's just way too big. So I'm gonna ask one student to give me an estimate about the amount of units that they think would make up this object. So how many inches tall do you think this crayon is? Okay, Madison, how many inches do you think this is? You're gonna say 3. Okay, now can you guys, does her answer make sense? Yes, I agree. I think so too. So now we're gonna measure this object. Let me get out my ruler again. Gonna go to the very end. Okay, so it looks like it's just a little bit over 3 inches. So good job, Madison. You are making some great estimates. Okay, one last thing we're gonna use. So now, would you say that this water bottle, do you think I would use inches or feet to measure this? Inches, you think? Okay. Josh, can you tell me how many inches you think that this water bottle is? Okay, you're gonna go with 9. Okay, so I think that makes sense because it's not too big, it's not too small, he's about just right. So let me get out my ruler. And this is actually about 8 inches. So he was off by 1 inch, but that is still a great estimate. Okay, so now we are going to move on and we're going to have you try. So I want one student to volunteer and tell me, select any object near you that is near you. I don't want you going to another room to get it. Somebody volunteer and give me one object that they would like to estimate measuring. Let's go with Alyssa. What object are you gonna have us measure? Okay, so it looks like Alyssa's holding up a sheet of paper. So Alyssa, what units do you think you would use for that? Are you gonna go with centimeters, inches, or feet, or? Okay, you're gonna go with feet, okay. So do you guys think or, so how many feet do you think that your piece of paper is? Before I get ahead of myself. You're gonna go with 1 foot? Okay, so do you guys think that that makes sense? Can you nod your head or shake your head, yes or no? Okay, so I see a lot of yeses. So I think that that makes a lot of sense too, because she didn't say something like 2 feet, which would be too big for that piece of paper. And she didn't say something like 5 inches, where that would be too small for that piece of paper. So Alyssa, can you pull out your ruler and measure that piece of paper for us? Okay, so you're getting, it's about exactly a foot long, it looks like. So you did a great job with estimating that. Okay, so as we can all see, Alyssa made a correct estimation. So does anybody else want to try? I want another volunteer. Okay, we're gonna go with Adam this time. So Adam, hold up an object that you have laying next to you. Okay, what is that? It looks like a little tiny eraser. Okay, so what unit do you think you would use to measure that? Okay, you think centimeters? Okay, that sounds about right. I think an inch would be too big. Um, what estimate? How many centimeters do you think that is? Okay, you're gonna go with 1 centimeter. Okay, so you guys think that makes sense or no? Yeah, it sounds about right. It could be a centimeter. Okay, so hold up your ruler now and measure that object for us. Okay, so you were about right. It's about a centimeter. It looks like maybe a little bit bigger, but overall, you did a great job estimating that one. Okay, now I want one more volunteer to help me estimate an object that's near them. Can I get one more volunteer? Okay, now what about Rachel? What do you have that you want us to estimate? Okay, what is that? It looks like a paper clip. So, what unit do you think we would use to measure that? You're gonna say inches? Okay, good. Yes, I think you could use centimeters or inches for this, but we are going to go with inches. How many inches do you think your paper clip is? Okay, you're gonna say 1 inch. Do you guys think that makes sense? Nod your head yes, shake your head no. Yes, I'm seeing a lot of yeses. I agree. I think that does make sense. So, can you measure that object for us using your ruler and show us what you came up with? Okay, so yeah, it looks like you're about just right. It looks like it's about exactly an inch long. You guys are all doing great with this. You are estimation pros. So now we are going to have you try on your own.
All right, so everyone, I would like you to open this Google Doc that I have shared with all of you guys. I'm going to paste the link in the chat. and you guys are going to practice measuring on your own. So let me copy and paste this quick. If I can get it in the chat.
I can quick do that for you if you want.
Sure, thanks. Okay,
Awesome.
so we're gonna have you guys fill out this chart. So hopefully you guys can see this. So finding an object that's next to you in your same room, you guys are going to write what the object is, write what your estimate measurement is, like what you think is gonna be the measurement of this, and then you're gonna actually measure it and write it in the box. So you guys are gonna have about 4 to 5 minutes to do this. So you guys are gonna find the object, estimate it, what you think it's gonna be, and then you're gonna write the actual measurement that you got when you measured it. All right, so I'm gonna set a timer, and when the timer goes off, you guys are to come back, and hopefully you guys will be done by then. If not, we can give you more time, but I think 5 minutes is gonna be good. If you finish early, you can always measure more things. You only have one slot for your name, but you can just practice at home on a piece of paper if you want to. All right, it's time for everyone to come back. I'm going to give you a few seconds to get back to your computers. And I'm going to go back to, here we go. All right, you guys all did really good on that. All right, so we're going to wrap it up. So can someone tell me what they think an estimate is? What did they learn today? What is an estimate? Can someone tell me? All right, Kylie, what do you think? Yep, you're right. Yeah. All right, it's making a guess of what the length of an object is. Good job. All right, so I want you guys to think about what was your favorite part of this lesson, or what was your favorite thing that you learned today? So I'm going to have you guys think about this, and then I'm going to have you guys write it in the chat just so we can get a feel of what everyone's favorite part of today was. So everyone think about it. We can also have a few students share out what they think. So you can write it in the chat, or you can volunteer to share out. Can I give you a few seconds to think about it? All right, I see some things popping up. Does anyone want to share? All right, Anthony? All right, so what was your favorite part of the lesson, or what was your favorite thing that you learned? Okay. Good. So you liked actually measuring the objects. Good. All right, can I get someone else to share? Let me see here. Carissa, okay. What was your favorite part of the lesson, or what was the favorite thing you learned? All right. You like practice estimating, figuring out which unit it is. That's fun, good. All right, and one more volunteer. What was your favorite thing? All right, Ben. You liked everything. That's good. All right, so that's it for today then. Thank you everyone for listening and participating today, and we'll see you next time.